Hi, my name is Thomas Giles. I'm a saxophonist and I live in Brooklyn. I wanted to share a few thoughts on the upcoming performance I have with the Brooklyn Symphony Orchestra playing Henry Brant's Saxophone Concerto. Well, the saxophone was invented in the 1840s, and a lot of people don't know this, but it was invented, way before jazz, probably 80, 90 years before jazz was starting to formulate. It was invented by an instrument maker from Belgium named Adolphe Sax, and he invented it to be a super instrument in the context of the orchestra, and it never quite caught on, at least to the degree which he imagined it would, but it was originally conceived in that context. So I think it works maybe best as a classical instrument, or as a chamber music instrument, as a solo instrument in the context of art music. So I play a Busher New Aristocrat from Elkhart, Indiana. It was made in the year 1932. It's a silver-plated instrument, and I have all kinds of custom modifications to it. But the reason I play an instrument that old is that there were some design changes that happened going into the 1930s and 40s. It was one of the last instruments being made according to the original acoustical specifications of the inventor. And it has a really rich, velvety core to the sound. And I like to compare it to, like an older Stradivarius violin. It just has a certain sound about it that can't be found in modern instruments. And it's the instrument that Sigurd Rascher would have played when he was playing this concerto. So the sound is very, very true to what the composer had originally intended. In the course of studying this piece, and in the course of my personal studies as a saxophonist, I had the great honor to go and study in Germany with Karina Rascher, the daughter of Sigurd Rascher, the soloist, who herself is a very famous, widely acclaimed saxophonist herself. And so it means a lot to me personally to play such a big piece, but also a piece that I have worked on in direct connection in some ways with the soloist originally. Sigurd Rascher is a pioneer in our field, pretty much without peer. His work throughout the 20th century, his career spanned, the entire 20th century, was really remarkable. He commissioned concerto after concerto from big name composers of the day, Jacques Ibert, Alexander Glazunov, and he championed older works like the Rhapsody by Debussy. He came to the United States in 1938, and he was still a relatively young man, and he was looking for American composers. He was looking for the best and brightest of the day, and met Henry Brant, who at the time I believe was in New York, and Henry Brant eventually came to teach at Juilliard. He taught at Columbia, and he eventually earned a Pulitzer Prize. But that was much later in his career. Henry Brant actually wrote this concerto when he was 28 years old. It was very, very early work for him. He was ambitious. He wanted to write something that was going to be infamous, I think, in the future. So this particular concerto is the first concerto to use the full 4-octave range of the saxophone. And this was something that Adolphe Sax had talked about. The keyed range of the saxophone is 2.5 octaves, but Sigurd Rascher, the soloist, was famous for extending the range of the instrument. And so he asked many composers to write in the upper register, especially in cadenza type settings. But Brant is the only composer that wrote all the way up to the high B flat, the triple high, double high, whatever you want to call it, B flat. That's a full 4 octaves on the instrument. So this piece is very infamous in the saxophone repertoire and is very rarely played because of its extensive use of that register. It's the only concerto. It was written in 1941, and it's the only concerto to use that register until, I believe, 1989 was the next time someone was brave enough to write that. I've been studying this piece for well over a decade, and I'm constantly amazed with the beauty of sort of the American sound that it inherently has. The Copland Clarinet Concerto is another example of really strong American writing, and some of the really beautiful themes in the second movement, very folkloric. I play a lot of European music, but it's so nice to experience a American piece that has such depth and such history and such importance by such a big name composer. I just feel really privileged to play this music. I am immensely humbled and grateful for the opportunity to stand in front of this great orchestra that I have watched perform, that I have performed in, and that is the finest example of a community orchestra that I've ever seen. It's amazing what the Brooklyn Symphony does in this community. I enjoy watching it, I love being a part of it, and I'm so thankful to be a soloist with the group. I hope you'll join us for this wonderful performance.